Hit.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm going to be going over my experience with the KNS adjustable piston in my Beryl here. So with my Beryl, which has a 16-inch barrel on it, chambered in 762 by 39, took it out for the first time the other weekend, and along with my Arsenal SAM7K. For anybody who doesn't know, the SAM7K has an 8.3-inch barrel, so almost half as short. Naturally, you would expect that the SAM7K would be a little more stout when it comes to felt recoil than the Beryl here, but I found that to be not the case. I'll post some video here and you can see that in comparison, definitely was getting pushed around more with my Beryl than it was with the SAM7K. So found that very, very interesting. So I think most everybody knows that, most AKs are really overgassed from the factory. They're designed that way. They were designed to be able to run with any type of ammo in any type of conditions. So one of the things that KNS is indicative of being able to benefit from a KNS piston, because like I said, most are, but they say not all, is how far your empties are being thrown. What does your ejection pattern look like? They say that basically anything over 15 feet, you could probably benefit from a KNS piston. Now, I was sitting here, I was looking at the videos that I took from when I shot it the first time, and I didn't really take special note of how far they were being thrown, but they were definitely getting tossed a decent distance. Didn't measure it, but I assume that, with the recoil feeling heavier on the Beryl than it did on my 7.7K, they could benefit. One of the things that really caught me, I was sitting on the fence about it was because my IWI Galil Ace Gen 2 and 5.56, that thing launches empties into like the stratosphere. I mean, they're just gone. I did get a KNS piston for it, and disappointingly, it will not run on anything but fully closed. Now, I know you're talking about a different piston, and I've read on the forums that some people have found that even just going from an OEM gas piston to a KNS, even fully closed, there was a difference, meaning it was a difference for the better. It was gassed a little bit better. I never took really note on my Galil, the difference between the two. I just know that I felt like I spent a whole bunch of money on a KNS adjustable piston and didn't get any benefit out of it because it won't run anything, and still launches the empties into the stratosphere. Again, not the hugest deal, and it is a smooth shooter. So going back to my Beryl here, so that really made me a bit hesitant to get a KNS for this, but I went ahead and took a chance on it. There's tons of videos out there on these pistons, so I'm not going to get super into it. Again, I just kind of want to focus on my experience with my Beryl. So here is the KNS adjustable piston installed onto my carrier. Here is my OEM piston as it came from FB Radom. So, just real quickly, these pistons are held in place. They're threaded into the carrier, and then there's a cross rivet that holds it in place. So I do want to mention that, as I dug into it and read, that a lot of the pistons that people get on their Beryls from the factory, so this is riveted in place. Here's the little rivet that held it in. They slightly countersink each side of the hole, and then they install the rivet, and then they mill it flush before they finish it with this enamel type paint. And I will say they do a dang good job of doing the blending, because it was very difficult to find the rivet location. Honestly, I don't remember how my Galil was, but it was not an issue whatsoever if it was just a roll pin or what. But this one was a completely different story. I almost hesitated drilling it out, and I was thinking about just buying an aftermarket carrier for it. I know some people like doing that anyway because they don't want to mess up their serialized carrier. That was, I'm not something, I wasn't really concerned with that, but what I didn't want to do is drill into my carrier and then miss the rivet hole. So ultimately what I ended up having to do was look through my magnified light that I have and hold it at just the right angle, and I could very, very faintly see the outline of, or at least what I thought was the rivet head. And then I went ahead and took a little Sharpie and made a dot and then took it off and used a center punch to make a drill start. So I don't know if you can see it here, but you can see that I was just very, very slightly off. You can see it kind of there at 7, 8 o'clock. Nothing big. So I was very glad to go ahead and get that rivet out without screwing up my carrier, threaded on the KNS piston, installed the roll pin, and it works very, very well. So again, there's the rivet itself, a little 1/8 rivet. If you do plan on drilling these out, get yourself a good cobalt drill, number 30 or 1/8. In my case, I ended up using a carbide drill, which is very good at drilling steel. So it made really quick work, and you want to use, you definitely want to use slow speed. So that was probably the most scariest part of installing this. Again, was making sure I didn't want to screw up my carrier. All right, so now getting into the shooting experience that I had with this. So again, as I mentioned, when I took video and when I shot this last time, I didn't exactly measure how far the brass was being thrown. So first things first, when I went to the range, I just kept the top cover off, took the optics rail off, took the top cover off, and I tested it while it was fully closed. You can see they're landing about over there, about right here. So probably about 15 feet away. Took a couple shots with it being fully closed. Took note of how far it was being thrown. Again, it was nothing crazy. So I was very curious to see how this would be, especially with my experience with the Galil. So what I decided to do was go into five click increments. Went to 5, went to 10, ultimately got all the way to 30 clicks out. Once it got to 30, it came to the point where it was starting to malfunction, so I backed it down to 28. Now, I was shooting 3 different types of ammo. I had Wolf Military Classic 124 grain hollow point. I had Tula 122 grain full metal jacket. And then I had some Igman M762. So the Tula is the weakest out of all the bunch. So I definitely wanted to keep this thing, even though it's adjustable, you can take it apart whenever you want and adjust it for different types of ammo. I decided that I didn't really want to mess with all of that. I wanted to make sure that it was reliable, and also that, you know, with having a can on there, I wasn't gonna have to make a bunch of adjustments with my can because I run a Huxworks flow through. So my thoughts going into this was that I was going to get it to test it out with my 124 grain, which would seem to be the stoutest stuff that I have, and get it set to where it would run, which again was 28 clicks, and then try it on the Tula. So with the Tula, I had to end up getting it down to 22 clicks open in order for it to run reliably. So what I figured is I'm going to go ahead and back it down to 20. And again, it's not too far away from the 28 where it was running, you know, on the edge of reliability with the M24. I'm sorry, M124, the Military Classic 124. And then, you know, barely being, well, it's either reliable or it's not, but it was running fine at 22 clicks with the Tula. So I figured 20 would be a good test. Ran through it, and also used the M762. At 20, you still had a much shorter ejection pattern. Shells were ending up about 6 to 7 feet away, and a bit more to like 3 o'clock. I don't know if ejection pattern changes on AKs like they do with ARs, or at least being indicative of being overgassed or what. But I did notice that, you know, being fully wide open, they were throwing them to like 330-ish more when the KNS piston was fully closed. And that got brought in a little more towards 3 or 230, and obviously being a lot closer, being like 6 to 7 feet with having this adjusted at 20 clicks open. So definitely made a difference. So, you know, the gun's not beating itself to death. On top of that, it also sounded like the sound suppression, or at least when I'm running a can, that sounded like it was even quieter. No, on the video clip here, when I compare them, you can't, it doesn't sound terribly different. Besides being cell phone, it's not really being the best at picking up audio. In the video where I'm running the OEM piston, that was my camera microphone. And then the ones where I have the KNS, I'm running a lapel mic. So it's going to sound louder because you have the ejection port and it's picking up sound right next to my chest where the microphone was. And then, of course, there was reduced recoil. So definitely felt the difference there. You can see it in the video where I'm doing like mag dumping with the OEM piston, how much it's really kind of pushing me around. Where Whereas now with the KNS piston adjusted to where I want it, it's definitely a lot less so. So if you have a Polish Beryl, or maybe even if you have any other type of AK that you think is overgassed, go ahead and pick one of these things up. You know, for my Beryl, I got the standard AKM one, which is this AGP-A-10. Go try them out. Definitely helped out in this instance. You know, maybe now didn't work for my Galil, but now I'm moving on to debating on whether getting one for my Sam 7K. Even though I feel the Sam 7K is smooth, or at least felt smoother than the Beryl, that one also launches the empties. If you see the video that I have, I'm posting in this with shooting the Beryl. I didn't take video of me shooting my Sam 7K, but in the same position. You see that storage container off to the right of me, and then that seated area that's got the awning overhead. It was launching the cases on top of and over those, so really throwing them. So you know, again, debating it, whether I want to go try it out. I mean, you really don't have anything to lose. It is reversible, but also you can just run it fully closed. Kind of like I did with my Galileo, but you know, these things are not cheap. I want to say they're around like $150, $165, something like that. So not exactly just a drop in the bucket, but I probably will end up going and trying it out. So anyways, I hope this helped out anybody out there who's got a Beryl that's thinking about getting the KNS piston. This was my experience with it, along with the ammo that I shot. If you like the content, please hit the like button, the share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. But right here.